My boss stole my idea and built a $1 billion company from it. Everyone thought I had lost, but I had kept a contract safe that revealed the entire truth to the world in a single day. My boss stole my idea and turned it into a $1 billion company. In front of the world, he was a successful entrepreneur while I looked like a defeated former employee. But that night at 3 a.m., sitting alone in my quiet American home, I was holding the contract I had never told anyone about. And I knew that one day the entire truth would finally come out. The faint sound of a late-night show played in the background, but I wasn't really listening. The same news kept replaying in my mind over and over. Tech industry rising star David Harper has taken his company to a $1 billion valuation. David Harper, my former boss, the man who had taken my dream and put his own name on it. I sat at my kitchen table holding a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. The coffee machine had already stopped humming, but I could still hear its last sound in my head. Outside my suburban home, the glow of streetlights slipped through the curtains. The entire neighborhood was asleep. But inside me, a story I had been carrying for years was waking up again. Sometimes the deepest pain doesn't come when someone betrays you. It comes when the whole world sees that betrayal as success. I had worked with David for 6 years. When I first joined his small office in Seattle, I only had one dream: to create software that could help small businesses connect with their customers in a smarter way. I stayed awake late at night drawing designs, filling cheap notebooks I bought from Target with ideas, and spending hours planning my future at Starbucks. David always told me, "Your mind works differently, Amy. You see things other people don't." I believed him. Maybe that was my biggest mistake. I still remember the day I walked into David's office with a file in my hands. It was raining and the streets of Portland were covered with water. Inside that file was the idea I had spent 2 years building. I was excited and scared, because deep down I felt my life was about to change. David looked through the pages, smiled, and said, "Amy, this could be huge. We should work on this." I thought we were going to create something incredible together. But a few months later, everything changed. Suddenly, I was left out of meetings. My emails started receiving delayed responses. And then one day I found out David was launching a new company with a platform almost identical to my idea. The name was his. The success was his. The investors were standing beside him. Me. I was just a former employee people looked at with sympathy. I still remember the night I came home completely broken. I thought maybe I should take Ambien or some sleeping pills just to silence my mind for a few hours. But I held the pill in my hand and put it away. Because somewhere inside me a quiet voice said, "Amy, this story isn't over yet." That was when I remembered something small. The contract. David had made me sign a confidentiality agreement, but there was an additional page attached to it that he probably never read carefully. It clearly stated that original concepts created by employees, when supported by documentation and creative proof, could have protected ownership rights. And I had everything. Files with dates, early designs, my original notes, emails, and most importantly, a digital record where David himself had discussed my idea. But I stayed silent. Because I didn't just want revenge. I needed to understand myself. It took me time to realize that I hadn't lost. I had simply trusted the wrong people. Years passed. David's company opened offices in major Boston buildings. Magazines published his interviews calling him a visionary. He appeared on television saying, "This idea had been in my mind for years." Every time I heard those words, something inside me broke. But then I reminded myself, truth may take time, but it always finds a way. And then that day finally came. An investment firm reached out to me. They were reviewing the foundation of David's company because he was preparing to sell it and expand even further. For the first time in years, I opened that old file again. My hands were shaking, not because I was afraid, but because I knew the moment had finally arrived. A few weeks later, the news spread everywhere. The company's deals were paused, investigations began, and the documents that changed everything became public. For the first time, people discovered that the billion-dollar empire they admired had been built on the dream of a woman who had been pushed into silence. David called me. For the first time his voice sounded weak. "Amy, why did you do this?" I stayed quiet for a moment. Then I said, "I didn't do anything, David. I just stopped hiding my truth." That night I was awake at 3 a.m. again. But this time it wasn't because of pain. When I opened the refrigerator door to get water, Its small light didn't feel like a lonely reminder anymore. It felt different, almost like it knew something had changed. I stood near the window. Outside, the same streets were there. The same houses. The same silence. But the woman standing inside that house was different. I finally understood that the greatest revenge isn't destroying someone else. The greatest revenge is finding yourself again. It is realizing that you were never less than anyone else. And that your dream does not become smaller just because someone else tried to take credit for it. The first light of morning slowly spread across the sky, and for the first time in years, my mind felt peaceful. I made a fresh cup of coffee, opened the window, and let the sunlight enter my home. Because I no longer needed someone else's name to prove my worth. My story was not over. It was only a new beginning. A new day. A new me. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that truth and determination always find their way, please support us by liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more powerful stories. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us. Your support means everything and helps us continue bringing meaningful stories to you.